This is the third Excel gradebook tutorial in the sequence for Education 150, and in this one we're going to be looking at functions. So you have two functions that you need to know for Education 150, and that is the sum and averages. And remember that functions are built-in formulas. Now the first one is the sum function. On the homework sheet, we need to get the total possible points for all of the homework assignments. So I'm going to put my cursor right under total next to all the different points possible, and I'm moving my mouse up to the AutoSum area. Remember that for these built-in functions, for this one, you don't need to even put in the equal sign. Simply click on the cell, click on AutoSum, see if Excel does the correct guess. In this case, it did. If it did not do the correct guess, you could just override that. But in this case, it looks fine. All you have to do is hit enter. I've clicked enter. This looks correct. I go back to my original cell, move my cursor down till I get that black crosshair shape, click and hold, and drag down because I know that I'm going to be doing the same operation for all of the student scores as well. So I might as well just copy it once with my autofill handle. So remember that you'll only see that autofill handle, and I'm going to move it onto this blank space so you can see it better, if you move your cursor down to the very far right-hand side of the cell where there is actually a really small green box. Okay. Now, average, you actually do have to start with the equal sign. So I'm going to go down here. I want to see the average of the student's homework 1. So I will start with the equal sign here, and I have to type in the word average. Now it looks like you can just go down and click on this one here, but it's really just reminding you of the different kinds of formulas. So I'm going to have to type in the whole word average myself. Now I need to know what to get the average of, so I'm going to use an open parentheses to tell it that some data is coming. And I need a cell range, and in this case the cell range is this number of cells here. Now remember, we shaded this area up at the top with the points possible specifically so we wouldn't make a mistake and include that in with our actual student data. Because if I add the whole average of this whole column, including the points possible, it's going to skew my result. So I want to go right down to the student data and get only these 5 cells. Looks like the range of D7 through D11. If that looks good, I don't even have to add the closing parentheses. I just have to hit enter to lock that formula in. Okay, now if you notice there's a little green corner notation there, and what it's going to say is, oh, you forgot to add something that was next to one of your cells. They think I just dragged wrong, but I actually purposefully omitted that. So I'm just going to ignore that warning. Just let it go. That worked out well, so I'm going to use my autofill handle to copy over the average formula into the next two. Now this cell here in the corner, I don't really need this at all. It's just kind of a empty placeholder. You can, if you want to get fancy with your borders, like we learned in the last video, to do the all-around borders and the thick box border, but there is lots of border choices. So if you go to your borders drop down and you actually go to more borders, you could do in the lower corners of this kind of example box, you could do the diagonals and sort of X that out if you wanted to get a little bit fancy. It's not required, just something to kind of fill out your spreadsheet a little bit. So it looks like that. All right, so that homework sheet worked out well. I'm going to go over to tests, do the exact same thing. I'm going to start here with my total possible points, move the cursor to AutoSum. It looks right, hit enter. Go back, get the autofill handle, drag it down. And then for averages, I'm going to go over here, start with the equals, do the full word average and the open parentheses, drag over my range, hit enter, return to the original formula, get the autofill handle, copy it over. And the same thing for the quizzes, really quick, AutoSum looks good, back, autofill down, and for average equals average, drag over my range, lock it in, return to the autofill handle, and copy that over. So you can see how quick it goes once you have a little practice. Okay.